What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Ready to Love. This is season 5. This is episode 8, and the episode is titled X Marks the Spot, you guys. All right, you guys. So before we get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel, and you guys are not yet subscribed to the channel, then I'm gonna need you guys to do me a big, huge favor and stop taking me on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. Do me the big favor and hit that subscribe button. Hit the like, turn your notifications on, share the video, you guys. And with that out the way, without further ado, let's discuss Ready to Love, shall we? All right, you guys. So this week, the men hold all the power. So the men are going to be sending one of these ladies home this week. So what I want for you guys to do is I want for you to introduce your hope-to-be's to your not anymore. So that's right, baby. What I want y'all to do is I want you to get that ex and talk to that ex and have that ex meet your new girls and see what your ex thinks of your potentials. Here's the question I have with that. Why? Now I know some people, when you break up with them, you can end things on a good note or you can end things on a bad note. But why do I want my ex's opinion of someone that I'm potentially dating? Makes no sense to me. Makes very little sense to me, but hey. So the first person that we got have someone meet their ex is Cornelius. The first thing that I want to point out is I'm gonna put a picture right here. Why does Cornelius have that picture in his house? Granted, it's of him. One, it is screaming self-centered, that I love myself. I mean, there's nothing wrong with loving yourself. It's one is just saying that I love myself way too. I'm self-absorbed. Number two is screaming. It's still screaming. I'm gay. Just saying. But hey, so the Camille is going to be meeting his ex. I'm like, where did you dig up this ex from? Because when you looked at that ex, I'm like, she gives me like y'all just homie vibes, and you just said, hey, what's up? So I don't have so for this show, I'm supposed to introduce this girl to my ex. And you know, I can't really bring none of my exes on the show because my exes are men. And that would, out me. But hey, okay. She's meeting his ex. Then she comes to the door. She's like, there are another pair of heels here. Why are they here? Who's here? I was like, oh God, Camille. I'm still questioning. I really, at this point, I feel like Camille and Cornelius are gonna make it to the final. I feel like they're gonna be one of the final 3 couples. I really do feel that way. I don't want it to be, but I just feel like that's what's gonna happen. I just feel it in my spirit. So she sits down with the ex, and off the rip, Camille was a little bit defensive. I'm like, girl, why are you so defensive? I mean, we all know how Camille is with the faces, and I'm just like, Camille, calm down. It ain't that deep. So then the ex-girlfriend asked Camille, what are her thoughts on, how is she with religion? She told her. Then she asked her, how does she feel about celibacy? Now, you guys remember from last week's episode that Camille's friends, like you gonna be celibate. Girl, that's a lie. So then she talked about her previous engagements, and the ex-girlfriend said, like, she was like, isn't that a bit of a red? Well, Camille says she doesn't see that as a red flag. I'm like, how do you not see that as a red flag? Because I would question you. My brain would start going a mile a minute. So you've been engaged 3 different times. And I'm glad that his ex-girlfriend asked what was lacking. Like, why didn't you make it down the aisle? Now, I will say it's good that she didn't make it down the aisle and get married and then get divorced, but 3 engagements sound like you were just, it sounded like you got swept up in the moment and said, yeah, let's get engaged, but then you said, pump the brakes. Camille is a walking red flag. Just putting that out there. She's a walking red flag. So then the next date we have is Phil. So he is introducing Shiloh and Tasia to his ex-girlfriend. I believe her name was Sabrina, right? Here's the question. When did Shiloh develop a connection with Tasia? I know that him and Tasia went out on that date last week, right? But I'm still just kind of confused. When did they bond? See, I know with Ready to Love, they don't show us all the dates, but I mean, like, wow, y'all could give us a little bit more context to some of these dates, because when we see these people together, it's just like, damn, we ain't never saw them speak to each other, look at each other, and then y'all have them going out on a date and they have these connections with each other. And then the one thing I will say is, I do know, and they've said it plenty of times this season, even last season, they have conversations off camera. Doesn't that literally take away from your show if they're talking off camera? Like, I think what would be better for Ready to Love, and I know these people work, right? Because I hear a lot of people talk about they just got off of work or they have to go to work, right? I think what would be good for this cast is, I think what would be good for Ready to Love if they got a resort of sorts, like get like a house, like the Big Brother, they have a house that people live in. Real, like, just get a house that they all live in. That way we can see what happens in the house, so we don't have to piece things together. Because it just be like a game of Clue at this point. It just be like a game of Clue of who likes who. When did y'all have a connection with each other? Oh, so y'all been having FaceTime conversations. Oh, y'all been talking on the phone. Oh, y'all been texting. Oh, y'all put dates on the YouTube channel, which I don't watch. It's just, it kind of takes away from the show. And then the show is always short as hell, right? So this date with Phil, he's like, this is awkward. And I was like, who set this date up? Was it you or was it production? Like, who set it up? Now, Tasia, when she got there, she was a little bit in her feelings to see Shiloh. Now, I will give her one thing that she said that was a very valid point, right? So Phil was sitting at the head of the table, right? Then you had Shiloh over here. You had the ex-girlfriend over here, and you had Tasia down here. It's like, well, damn, why not move the ex-girlfriend over here where Shiloh is and move Tasia? So that way, you know, he's by both of the girls, because at this point I was with Tasia. You can kind of see who he leans more towards, and it's Shiloh. So, you know, the ex-girlfriend, she's asking them questions, but it kind of seemed like she was trying to be their best friend, right? And then Shiloh asked a question about what are some of his red flags. I didn't listen, because I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I don't see none of these. If we get to the end of the season and there is 3 couples that are together, I don't see them lasting past the reunion or even till the reunion. I feel like by the reunion, they'll be done broke up. But hey, let's pause here and we're gonna move forward, right? So next up, we see Frank. Now this one was what really threw me for a loop. So Frank is out on a date, right? He has his ex-girlfriend who happens to be on one mouse. Kind of surprised, but hey, you know, whatever floats your boat, right? But what confused me was who he had meeting his ex-girlfriend, right? So Frank has Mumin and Sydney meeting. Now I wasn't surprised by Sydney, right? Sydney wasn't the shock. I figured he would have Sydney meet his ex-girlfriend, but I was like, what about Aisha? Because I mean, you guys remember episodes ago, Frank and Aisha had a huge connection with each other, right? So what happened with the connection between you and Aisha? Like, I was just thrown off. Hell, we didn't even see Aisha in this episode. I was like, that's interesting. So Aisha didn't go on any dates with any of these men, but she wasn't eliminated. See, there are a lot of holes, right? So Sydney came prepared with questions, right? She had her phone full of questions that she wanted to ask his ex-girlfriend. So she asked the questions, right? So she asked her, so she says he's not good with giving attention, which that's not a good sign. He's not good with texting. I'm not gonna knock him on that one, because I'll give it to you. I'm not the best texter either. Like, if I see the text message, I'll respond to you, right? I'll try to respond to it immediately. But if I'm not paying attention to my phone, or if I'm doing other things and I forget, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot. I'd be like, and that happens a lot with me. But it don't go, sometimes it doesn't go days. It might go a day. If I don't respond to you immediately, you can expect a text message the same day, or maybe a few hours later, or even the next day, right? So nothing wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that, right? With Frank and Sydney, they have a connection, but I think it's just a physical connection. If you guys want me to be real with you, I feel like it's a physical connection between frank and sydney. Now you guys can let me know what you guys think, but I just think it's a physical. I think it's all physical. So then let's move over to Dante, right? So Dante, he has Zadi and Shiloh, meaning his ex. And then on the flip side, we have Walter and Sabrina, who's meaning his ex, and her fingernails. I'm going to put a picture of her up here somewhere. Those nails. I was like, Jesus Christ, those are long ass fingernails. So Zadia walked in. So Shiloh was already in on the date with Dante, right? So then Zadia walks in, and Zadia was in her feelings. You know, the theme of this episode was two women where they were in their feelings, Zadia and Tasia. But like I said earlier, I got Tasia's point. I kind of got Tasia's point. Zadia's, I don't get. I mean, yes, you're on a date with him and Shiloh was there and his ex-girlfriend is there, right? That should be the moment for you to say, you know what? I like this dude. Let me do what I gotta do to, you know, if I'm at number 2, shit, let's see how we can make myself number 1 over Shiloh. Like, you go in and you excel at, like you lay on the charm. Like you make him be like, damn, I was feeling Shiloh, but now Zadia comes in and she done completely changed my thoughts, my views, my everything. But no, that wasn't Zadia. And here's the thing that his ex-girlfriend, right? She liked the line of questioning that Shiloh gave, like, what is his, like, I guess, like, what is his love language, all kind of things like this. You know, how do you know he's into you? That was the one thing I remember. How do you know he's into you? She says, well, if he's touching you and stuff like this, he's into you. And then, you know, Zadia says, well, how do you know he's not into you? Now, the ex-girlfriend didn't like the questions that Zadia was asking, but I'm like, those are very valid questions, right? If you're dating a person, you want to know the good about them, but you also want to know you want to know bad things. And if you want to know the good with the bad. And if you want to know if the good outweighs the bad. And if it outweighs the bad, then you're good. But if it doesn't, then you got to sit here and reevaluate, right? So I didn't really like the fact that the ex-girlfriend, and then the fact that who was it that asked her the question of, because she was talking about what a good guy he is, right? And I think it was Zadia who asked this question. She asked a very valid question, because I mean, the way you're speaking about this man, that you saw a change in him since he came to DC. So she said, if with the man that he is today, would you take him back if he wanted you, or something to that extent, right? And she said, if I wasn't the ex, yes. I don't see what was wrong with that question, because that is a good question, because you don't see that often. If people break up in their relationships, right? Most times when you break up with people, it's not for a good reason, unless you guys are just on different pages, right? Which I think that's what she said, that they were on different pages, right? And if you're on different pages and you see that the person has grown and done different things, then I'd be like, well, shit, you talking positively about him or her. Is there, if he or she gave you a chance, would you take them back? Like, I would ask that question, but I guess she didn't like it. Whatever. So Walter is, like I said, Walter was with Sabrina, right? So his ex-girlfriend was talking to Sabrina, and then she says, well, is there any questions that you want to know about Walter? Now, I will be honest with you. Sabrina's answer in this scene, I did not like it. Oh, well, me and him have had conversations, and I feel like if I asked him a question, he would tell me right away. So there's nothing I need to know. I was like, that was rude. I'm like, that was really, really rude for you to sit there and say that. The way you could have answered that question, Sabrina, is, well, thank you. I don't really have any questions about Walter, because, Walter and I have an open and honest dialogue with each other. And, everything that I've asked Walter, he's been upfront and honest with me about. Now, if I do, and I would have said, you know what, if there's something that I don't know that I would like to know, let me think on that for a few minutes, right? Give me a few minutes and let me think of a question that I probably haven't asked him. And maybe you can answer it for me. And if, or maybe he can answer it, whoever wants to answer it. But you didn't have to go that cocky, because that was a little cocky to me. But hey, so then Mumin shows up to the date, right? And Sabrina was in her feelings again. the theme of the episode was we're in our feelings because we're on dates with more than one person. It was just, like I said, I got to see you earlier. I did not get Zadia and I did not get Sabrina. What it really, to me, looked like with Sabrina was a bit of jealousy. It just looked like a little bit of jealousy because then she said, you know what, I gotta go because I have a styling gig that I have to get to. Okay. And then eventually, Mumin left, right? So we find out that Mumin is a singer, and she asked the ex-girlfriend. She asked, does she have kids or does she want kids? What is she looking for? She says she wants kids. She says about 2 or 3 maybe. He says why not the Jackson 5? Because you can sing, so let's pass it on, right? So then the ex-girlfriend asked her about sex, right? And Mumin is like, I'm not gonna have sex until I'm in a committed, committed relationship. She means marriage, right? And so she said, you know what, I gotta leave because I gotta sing, right? So the ex-girlfriend said to him, she doesn't feel like she's gonna wait till marriage, which I see her point. I see what the ex-girlfriend was saying, right? She feels that Mumin just wants a stable, committed relationship before she's able to say she wants to have sex with a person. Who knows? She might be right. But let's move on, you guys, and we're gonna wrap up the episode. So we see Naeem. So Naeem is introducing Zadia to his ex-girlfriend, right? Now I will say this scene was really quick. It was like it went by really fast. She sat down, she asked some questions of the ex-girlfriend. Naeem said that the ex-girlfriend asked if she have a fat ass, and she was like, whoa. She's like, I know what he likes, right? So then, Zadia asked about, she asked what Zadia's love language is, and Zadia told her what her love language is. Then, Zadia was asking her questions about him, right? She asked her, so the ex-girlfriend was telling her that he's guarded and that basically he's picky. So she asked her, does he like Dakota? She says, no, he doesn't like Dakota. He says, She says, oh, well, maybe he just didn't like Dakota with me. So that date ended very quickly. I was like, wow, that's the end of the date. So then we see this very random date with Phil and Sydney. Here we go with the dates in the gym. I was like, oh my God, we got a date in the gym. And they talk about marriage and children, right? And she's from New York. They could have kept that date. They could have kept that date and they could have kept that scene, to be quite honest with you guys. But hey, it is what it is. So we're gonna move on. So then we go to the gentleman's lounge. So the men are meeting up with Tommy. So tell me, who did you go on a date with? So, okay. So Walter told who he went on a date with and what his ex thought about, Sabrina. She thinks that Sabrina might be a little bit controlling, and they kind of push Mumin up, right? They talk about Tasia. I'm like, oh, Tasia, this might be your time to go. So then they talk, Cornelius, he talks about his date with Camille, right? And, he was talking about how she came in the house. She was like, ooh, there are extra pair of heels here. And then when the date was over with, she's like, so is she leaving? She doesn't have anywhere to go. And Tom was like, so that's not a red flag? Exactly. Tom like, you seem like you're overlooking the red flags. He is. Because like I've said before, he's gay. Just saying, right? So then Thomas says, well, who are we not feeling? So they say Tasia. Walter wanted to say Camille, but he decided, he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that to my boy right here. I'm like, what? Oh, you're not going to do that to your boy because, if you say Camille and y'all unanimously say Camille got to go, y'all know that next week he ain't going on no dates with nobody. He just going to be off screen. So you're not going to say Camille. Okay. So now we're going to say Sabrina. I'm like, Sabrina? Okay. So that's what I'm like, okay, this got to be a game at this point. Y'all just are playing with me. Y'all just pulling my legs because why are we keeping Camille? Camille has one connection and so does Cornelius. Yep, I really have a strange feeling that they're going to make it to the finals. I really think that they're going to make it to the end. I just can see it for some odd reason that Camille and him are gonna make it to the end, because these people don't want to send them home for God knows whatever reason. I don't get it. Unless production is getting in their ear saying, hey, don't send them home. So we move over to the elimination date, right? So Frank is out on a date with Sabrina, and Sabrina was in her feelings once again, right? Now this one I did understand, right? Sabrina is talking about she's pursuing these men, right? But the men are not responding to her, not texting her, not calling her. So I get her frustration with that one. I got that one. But ultimately, it wasn't Sabrina that went home. They sent Tasia home. I was like, I knew it. I knew Tasia's time was running thin, but I'm still kind of confused as to why y'all talk about, like, the fact that y'all talk about Tasia. Tasia might be, you know, standoffish and whatnot. I'd rather have standoffish than crazy, as in Camille. But hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Please leave your comments in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified on when I drop anything else. Share the video, and until the next one, guys, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.